My name is Carolina Herrera. I work with Professor Robin Shattuck at Imperial College in the section of infectious diseases. And my main interest is microbicides, combinations of microbicides more specifically. And so, thanks to this interest, I have been able to be involved in CHAARM, and also I'm very interested in the new FP7 European grant, which is called MOTIF. So when CHAARM started, it was based on developing combinations of microbicides for vaginal and rectal applications. So this is immensely important because in Europe it's the first grant that has been really aiming to develop microbicides for both compartments. So not judging any sexual practices, not discriminating or catalogating any community, but just we are developing microbicides for everybody's use. So this was immensely important, and now we are having the chance to have MOTIF, and MOTIF brings an aspect which is key to the understanding of not only the activity of combinations per se. So if you put two drugs, are they going to be able to inhibit more the virus or not? But more importantly, to understand what these two drugs, how they could interact. So if a drug, for example, enters in a cell that the virus is going to infect, that drug not only might be able to inhibit the virus, to block the virus, but also it might be able to, it might affect the environment of the cell. And therefore, a second drug that might be used in the combination might see this activity affected by that change of the environment. So it's something that it hasn't been studied yet. So that's what MOTIF is all about, is to see when we're going to use combinations of drugs, are they going to be affecting each other in a positive way or in a negative way, that at the end we would have microbicides that wouldn't be as effective as the drugs on their own. Yes. Yes, the vaccine is always the ultimate goal because it would make things very easy. But the reality of the field is that right now vaccines are not fully efficacious. Nor are microbicides, but we can think about combining them. Again, we are always using the word combination, and I think this is a key word for the future of prevention of HIV transmission. Any type of techniques that right now are being studied, either microbicides, vaccine, or oral pre-exposure prophylaxis, at some point they will have to be considered, and they are already being considered for that matter, as combinations. It's quite simple. The problem that we are facing, one of the problems that we're facing with vaccine is that once the person receives the vaccine, when that person is exposed to the virus, our immune system, our defenses, do not have time to react quick enough to inhibit the virus. The virus is faster than the immune system. So basically our soldiers are invaded immediately, and they don't even have time to raise their weapons. So the idea behind all this is to use the microbicides or the oral pre-exposure prophylaxis to slow down the virus, to give time to our immune system, to our soldiers, to be fully ready with their weapons up and kill the virus in a very lay language way. But that is one of the ideas behind of combinations of drugs, antiviral drugs, and vaccines. I think that is one of the main issues that we have right now. I'm not a social scientist, but I can perceive around me in developed countries how the idea that people, the perception that people have of the epidemic, of HIV epidemic, it's completely unreal. They are not in contact with reality. We still have young women and young men who are being infected every day around us, and it's not because because they might not be having sex with men, or they might not be of African origin, because some people have this very bizarre perception that if they are not of African origin, and if they are not having sex with men, being men, they are safe. Or if they are from a certain status. In some countries it happens also. We are going back to those, at least in my opinion, to that sense of protection base, like on your social status, like it was happening in the Black Plague. Like it was, if you would have seen, you were supposed to be infected with the Black Plague. And so I think this is an important aspect that as a scientist we still need to make the population very aware, thanks to the community advocates, that HIV is still a very grave problem, even in developed countries. It's not only happening in developing countries. So we need to make people aware. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be very original for the first one, which is funding. Funding is something that we are, to a certain extent, struggling, and part of my time, enormous part of my time, is based into looking for funding. And I think my hands would be better occupied into getting new ideas, into developing new things and testing new things, new compounds, more than being so desperately having to look for funding. And this is very typical answer, but it's a reality. And with the economical crisis that is still hitting us, science is suffering enormously. A lot of people are leaving science, and if I may say also, a lot of women are leaving science. And so there is a disproportion that has been created in the scientific community in between men and women, and it's all based on crisis, on economy. The other aspect is, I think that we definitely need, for this specific field, more interaction between the community advocates and the scientists. Because everything that we do, if then when we try to bring it to the street, people do not understand it, or people are scared of it because they don't understand it, or people don't like it, then all our work will be useless and the epidemic will continue. So I think funding and more communication with via advocates, via any means with the general public are the two basic the two main aspects that I would like to have more enhanced. I think science is always a question of having questions in front of you and trying to answer those questions, having a problem and trying to, but that's the interesting part of it. Scientists, we are by definition curious. So if there was no curiosity, we would. But no, I think the field HIV has had this huge advantage that, in a way, I wouldn't say thank you, but thanks to the difficulties of obtaining a vaccine immediately, we ended up studying more deeply the virus per se, and we ended up trying to understand more the immunology surrounding the infection. So the field has developed enormous amount of techniques, enormous amount of knowledge that at this stage, and it's very exciting to be in this field. And also what is very, very beautiful in a way is that scientists are working together. It's not just I am going to be the winner of the Nobel Prize, no. It's us as a group of scientists, we're going to find a solution for this problem. And I think this is great.